What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome into the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. Today we're talking Week 3 preview, trying to get our first win this weekend against the New York Giants, first road test of the year. We're going to talk about how we can make that happen, my biggest keys to victory, and we're going to go over the Week 3 injury report. Let's get right into this thing. So, like I said off the top, we got two things on the agenda today. First up is the Week 3 injury report. A lot of major injury news to discuss today. I actually put out a short just a few minutes ago on that. If you saw it already, you're a little bit ahead of the game. But we're going to go through everything you need to know from an injury report perspective. And then we're going to get into how Kansas City can get its first win of the 2025 season against the New York Giants. Couple keys to victory for you. But before all of that, I need your guys' help. I was walking around the office today, and Mr. Marshall Green, our Giants Now host, came up to me and said, I was looking at the Chiefs channel recently, and you guys haven't gotten 100 comments on a video in over a month. And he said there was absolutely no way we would do it this week on our Giants preview. So I need your guys' help. We need to prove him wrong. Get down in those comments and spam KC as much as you can. Let's show Marshall who is boss in Chat Sports and on the football field. So let's get into that Week 3 injury report. Before we do, I just want to let you guys know, I've seen a lot of comments from you guys saying that the Giants are an easy team to beat, that we're guaranteed our first win of the week this year, or the first win of the year this week. I do not feel that it is that easy. This is a much better Giants team than in years past. We cannot sleep on them. Let me just let you know, we're going to get into those keys to victory, and you guys are going to realize very quickly, if you haven't watched any Giants football this year, that this is not your grandfather's Giants team. Not the Giants team from a decade ago or a couple of years ago that was just absolutely no good. But first, the injury report. So here it is from Thursday. We had two guys not participate in practice. That's Mike Dana and Christian Fulton. No real surprise there. If you tuned in yesterday, or excuse me, the day before that, you know that that was already the case for Wednesday. Neither of those guys were participants. Jalen Royals, this is really big news. For the first time this season, back into practice on Wednesday and a full participant in practice today. That is a huge move in the right direction for our rookie receiver. Xavier Worthy was limited in both of these practices and practicing without padding on. Josh Simmons, a limited participant on Wednesday, dealing with a undescribed illness, likely just a stomach bug. Really don't think there's anything to worry about there, especially with him being a full participant today. So, a lot of great news from an injury perspective for the Kansas City Chiefs. But except for the Dana and Fulton ends of things, those two guys not participating is going to lead to rookies stepping up. And I think that's in some ways, obviously, you don't want to have your starters out, but there's a lot of optimism on my end about some of these young guys. Number one, Noel Williams. He was fantastic last week against the Eagles in limited action, had a pass breakup against Devontae Smith that was really fantastic. I really want to see more from Noel Williams. I'm excited to see what he can do. He's probably stepping into a full-time starting role this week if Christian Fulton cannot go, which at this point, with him not practicing at all this week, does not seem very likely. And on the defensive line, with Mike Dana out, we're going to get to see more of Ashton Gillotte. He was fantastic in the preseason. You guys know I'm very excited about him. So really interested to see what he can do in a full game of starting reps. Came out in the second half with the starters last week and did get some serious action. And this is all very optimistic, in my opinion, when you think about how many of our 2025 rookies are already seriously involved with this team. That's a good thing, in my opinion. You want to see your youth get quickly involved, even if it's because they're filling gaps for injuries. I like to see our young players get involved. If you think about the players that we drafted this year, our most recent draft picks, Josh Simmons is already a starter. Brashard Smith, a 7th-round draft pick, is playing serious action. Jeffrey Bass has been a contributor on special teams, actually somebody that we called, or that Dave Toub called out today during his press conference as somebody that's been improving every day. He talked about Brashard Smith as a home run threat in the return game as well. Jalen Royals getting back into full participation. And you look at the earlier draft picks as well. Noel Williams is stepping into that starting role. Ashton Gillotte now doing so. Omar Norman-Lott got his first career sack last week against the Eagles, and Josh Simmons has been a day one starter and playing very well. So almost every single one of our draft picks is involved in some way. I mean, how many teams in the NFL can say that they've got full participation, full contribution from their draft class at this point. I think that is huge for us in terms of what Kansas City can get from their young players. All right, let's talk about Xavier Worthy, though. He was a limited participant on Wednesday and a limited participant on Thursday as well. I do think we're going to get him and Jalen Royals back in full action this Sunday night against the Giants, though. Excuse me, let me take a breath here. But those two guys have missed serious time this year. Worthy out since week 1 after colliding with Travis Kelce. Jalen Royals obviously not practicing the entire season, and we've talked again and again about how limiting that's been for Patrick Mahomes and this receiving offense. I think we get both of these guys back this week and that they can help our offense take off. Josh Simmons, once again, back to full participation. We already talked about that, but I want to hear from you guys on who you think needs to step up for Kansas City in week 3 against the New York Giants. Who do you guys think is the number one key to the Kansas City Chiefs having success against the Giants? I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know. Is it one of the receivers who's getting back, Xavier Worthy? Is it going to be Jalen Royals? Is it one of the young guys that we've talked about, some of the rookies that are becoming contributors? Who do you think needs to step up for Kansas City to get this win against New York? Excuse me. But before we get into our keys to victory, we have to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Omaha Steaks. And lately, guys, I've been learning to cook a little bit more. I'm a newly engaged man, got engaged last weekend, and my fiance really wants to see me step it up in that department. And since my cooking skills are a little lacking, I need to make sure I'm working with the highest quality meat to close that gap. That's why I always use Omaha Steaks, and she's never disappointed. Enjoy USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, cozy and convenient comfort meals, plus tailgating favorites like chicken wings, smash burgers, and big deli-style franks. And now, during their Red Hot Sale event, you can get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $35 off with promo code CHIEFS at checkout. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. They're a family-owned company with over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry, so get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot Sale event, and for an extra $35 off, use promo code CHIEFS at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code CHIEFS at checkout. See site for details. Back into our keys to victory. Let's get started with these. Number 1, limit the deep throws for Russell Wilson. This is the biggest thing in my opinion. If you've watched the Giants this year, week 1 and week 2 were a stark contrast for this team. They looked like two entirely different football teams. And a huge part of that was the success Russell Wilson had against the Dallas Cowboys. Let's see these numbers for his deep throwing statistics this season. Almost all of this against Dallas, by the way. He is tied for second most in deep attempts, he's fifth in completion percentage, completing nearly 60% of those passes, first in yards, and tied for second in yards per attempt. The Giants are airing it out and having a ton of success doing so. And that's nothing new for Russell Wilson. He has for a long time been one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL, but he's at his best right now because of the receivers he is paired up with. Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Nabers are on a tear right now, and I think the biggest key for our defense, do not let those two guys get behind you. They are like the monster in the closet that you do not want behind you. If they're behind our coverage, guys, they are a threat to score at any time. Let's see these numbers. 1st and 6th in the NFL in receiving yardage right now. Malik Nabers and Wan'Dale Robinson. Malik is 1st. Wan'Dale is 6th. 238 yards for Malik, 197 for Wan'Dale. And that's on just 28 combined receptions. These two guys are really efficient. And look how many of those are 20 plus or more catches. 9 of 28. That is almost a third of their total receptions. Our corner room, which is injured, by the way, we talked about this already. Christian Fulton not being there is a little bit scary when you go up against these guys. We're going to have to be phenomenal covering deep, limiting those deep opportunities for Russell Wilson, forcing him to be patient, forcing him to take what is available short. That is the key, in my opinion, from a defensive perspective. Moving over to the offensive side of the ball to talk about keys over there. And something I talked about in my week 2 takeaways, the run game against Philadelphia was absolutely pathetic. It cannot be that way against the New York Giants. You cannot become one-dimensional against this football team. Their pass rush is simply too good. When you look at the guys that they have that they can use to get after you, this is a very scary group of edge rushers. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Abdul Carter all coming after Patrick Mahomes. Keeping Patrick Mahomes clean has already been an issue for our offensive line in the first 2 games of the season, and I would argue this is the best pass rush they've faced so far in a lot of ways, even better than the Philadelphia Eagles, even as crazy as that sounds. This pass rush is fantastic. I really think as Abdul Carter continues to come along, as Kayvon Thibodeau continues to go through a breakout year, this is one of the best in the NFL, and you cannot sleep on this aspect of them. You cannot become a one-dimensional passing attack that allows these guys to just tee off on Patrick Mahomes, to blitz all day long, to come after him, and to make it borderline impossible to throw the football beyond anything short. We need to be able to set up long developing concepts, especially if Xavier Worthy is back, and that means being two-dimensional offensively. The run game has to get going. And when you look at it over the last couple weeks, outside of Patrick Mahomes, it absolutely has not. Our run game from our running backs has just been outright pathetic. 19 carries for 55 yards, less than 3 yards per carry last week, and a longest rush by our running backs of just 11 yards. The good news on that perspective, though, the Giants' run defense is absolutely horrendous. Let's pull some numbers on this because you guys would not believe me if you didn't see them with your own eyes. The attempts for them right now, they faced 60. They're ranked 28th in the NFL in terms of rushing attempts against. They're 32nd in rushing yards allowed, 31st in yards per carry, and 30th in rushing touchdowns allowed total, allowing 4 total rushing touchdowns in just the first 2 weeks of the season. And to a Dallas team that was one of the worst teams running the football last year, they got absolutely bulldozed. 135 yards allowed on the ground to Dallas, which, again, one of the worst teams at moving the ball on the ground last year. This is a major opportunity for our run game to build confidence and build success going forward. And that involves starting quickly. That is my final key in this game. The Kansas City Chiefs, in the first 2 weeks, have yet to score a single point in the first quarter of a football game. Let that sit in. We are scoreless in the first quarter through the first 2 weeks. That cannot be the case today. Matt Nagy made a point of it in his press conferences, on Sunday. Matt Nagy made a big point of it in his press conferences. We have to start faster. He wants to see us score on the first drive. I feel the exact same way because you need to force this Giants offense to play from behind. We talked about not getting one-dimensional. We want to make them one-dimensional, make them abandon their ability to run the football, drop into deep coverage, and force some picks off Russell Wilson. We've also yet to force a turnover this season. There is opportunity here. As much as he likes to go deep with those rainbow balls, get our corners' heads around, let's get some interceptions. So, with all of that in mind, I want to hear from you guys. Who you got this weekend? Type Kansas City or type KC if you're rolling with our Chiefs. Type NYG if for whatever reason you're rolling with the Giants. We will see you guys next time. You've been watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports, and my name is Jackson Durham. Thanks for tuning in.